Yes, entrepreneurs. This video is going to be shared on Entrepreneurs Hub and also the Kasi group of South Africa, where you see some ideas being shared in the groups. Yeah, one of the interesting topic that I hear is when people discuss and say, why is it that foreigners in South Africa do well when they do Spaza shops? So what is the secret? So in this video, I'm going to try to explain some of the secrets, and also I am going to help you to understand how to run a Spaza shop. A Spaza shop, for some people who don't understand, because in Malawi, we don't call them Spaza shops, we call them groceries. And this issue is also the same in Malawi. Most of our shops in Malawi are owned by foreigners. They're owned by people from Burundi and some of them from Rwanda. They are the guys who are doing these Spaza shops in Malawi. But why is it that Spaza shop, it's only foreigners that actually do it very well? First of all, I want to explain the conditions that a foreigner lives when you live in a strange country. I have been in a foreign country for a long time. I was in South Africa for 15 years. And when you're living in a strange country, you are not surrounded by your family. You don't have close relatives. You don't have, sometimes you are alone in the area. Like myself, in the area that I lived in Pau, I was alone as a foreigner. So this makes you to be in a certain situation, in a situation where you just depend on yourself. You don't depend on anybody else. But right now, when you live in your own country, you are living close to your family, you're living close to your friends, your aunties, your uncles. So you are not in the same situation as when you are living in a strange country as a foreigner. So most of the foreigners, when they live in South Africa, they know that if something should happen to them, whereby they end up without money, they will end up in the streets. So nobody wants to be in the streets in a foreign country. Even myself, I knew that if I'm not careful with how I run my money or how I run my life, I can end up in the streets because nobody is going to rescue me because I was a foreigner. So that is one of the things that a foreigner has in the mind when he's living. So when a foreigner starts a business in South Africa, the first thing he knows is that he needs to survive. And he knows that for him to run the business, he needs people to be able to patronize his shop. So in his mind, he knows that each and every customer that comes to this shop is very, very important. So it means even if it's a little kid that comes to your shop to buy, that kid has to be treated very special. And another thing is that when you live in a strange country, because you know that there's nobody else who can help, you try to look around for people who are also from your country or who are also foreigners like you. So you become friends with them who are also doing the same business. So you work together to support one another. So that in times of trouble, when there's no money, you can easily go to your friend and they'll borrow you money so that you can survive and you pay it back. And another thing is that when you go in South Africa, most of the times people don't have money to be able to buy groceries or anything over 100,000 rands. So if you go to a hardware and you buy stock for 100,000 rands, the owners of the shop, they will treat you very special because they don't usually see people coming there to buy stuff for 100,000. So foreigners know this. So what the foreigners do, if I want to buy stock for, let's say, 10,000, I will take 10 of my friends and say, let's go and buy our stock to that place where they still sell stock. So we put the money together and then we go and buy whatever we want to buy. So we have a spending power of 100,000. This gives us an opportunity to actually negotiate a discount. So the owner of the wholesale wants us to always come and buy from them, so they will give us a discount. Sometimes they'll give you a discount even without you asking for it because they want you to come back. More especially, most of the hostels in the area where I lived in Pau, they were owned by Indians or people of Muslim origin. So every time when they see that you're starting to buy more, when I started my business there, I also ran a Spaza shop. When I started, they were being supportive. They even came to a point where they would say, if you need more stock, we can actually give you pay later. So this is what the foreigners are doing in a foreign country, whether it is in Malawi or in South Africa. They know that for them to survive, they have to work together, and they know that their customers are very special. Right now, myself, I'm living close to a shop that is owned by a foreigner. If you can just see the shop, it's a very tiny shop. He just started, and he's running his business. When we want to buy our things, we go to buy from him. And the shop is very small now. If we come back again and look at this shop, it's going to be very full and it's going to be big. He's gonna, I understand he's bought the space next to it. He's going to build a bigger shop. This guy must be from Rwanda or maybe from Congo or some other country. He's a foreigner. So now, how to run a Spaza shop? When I started my shop myself in South Africa, a Spaza shop, it was when we had just received the RDP houses. So the house that we were supposed to get was at the edge of the community, but my wife's auntie's shop was inside the community. So my wife's auntie asked us to go and live in a house because her house had finished quicker than our house, and said, in the meantime, you can go and live in my house. So when we moved there, the house was positioned on a T-junction. I was not working, but I had a little bit of money. So I thought, because everybody had just been coming in, the RDP house had just been open and we moved in, I started a Spaza shop. I started with a few rands. I think it was something like 500 rands or 1,000 rands. I bought things that were going to move fast, things like sweets, lollipops, ice cream, small little things, and chips and soft drinks. So what I used to do, I would go to the hardware and buy crates of soft drinks, packets of sweets, and whatever. And the Muslim owner of that shop, they saw that I came there and I started my business. They were so very helpful, and they asked me, "You have just started a business?" I said, "Yes." And at that time, I was lucky because my uncle, who had just come, who was also living in South Africa, who was staying with us, and my uncle used to run a shop here in Malawi. So my uncle told me, he said, "You know what you should do? You should have a piece of paper. In that paper, you will be logging in. So every time when I'm selling, when kids come in to buy something, then they ask, Mommy said I must buy sugar. And if we don't have sugar, I'll write down sugar. And the kids will come again. My mom said I must buy matches. If we don't have matches, I'll write down matches." That's what my uncle told me. And next time when somebody comes again and asks for sugar again, I'll make a tick on the sugar. And then at the end of the week is when I was taking my things to go and buy more stock that have been to replenish my shop. But also my uncle told me that every week when I go and buy, I must introduce one new product. And this new product was always the one that had more ticks. The one that had more ticks means that the one that was in demand. So every week I will introduce one new product, but the one that has more ticks. The next week I'll continue. Everything that is being asked in that week, I'll tick, tick, tick. The one that had more ticks will be introduced. My uncle told me a secret. He said, the only way to grow your Spaza shop is to make sure that every week you are introducing a new product. That means your shop is growing. If you fail to introduce a new product, it means you're not making any profit and your business is not growing. So what we'll do every week, first of all, we'll replenish the stock that we have already sold, and then we'll add a new product. The rest of the money, then we can buy ourselves food and whatever we want to buy. So I continued doing this. By the end of 2 months, when I looked in the shelves of my shop, it was very full. Now, I saw that there were more people coming in, started doing their own Spaza shops in my area. So I was now getting competition. So I needed to be on top of the competition. So what did I do? When we went to buy at these wholesalers, they used to give us a catalog. And each catalog would tell us the cost of each item and the recommended selling price. I looked and studied this recommended selling price. And when I go to the location, I found that everybody was selling these things higher, much more higher than what the wholesalers were recommending. So what did I do? I also started selling just like the same way that my competitors were selling. But I knew that the actual price was this, but then the community was selling this. So the difference, I used it for marketing. So every time when a kid came here in my shop to buy something, if they buy, I told my wife that every time somebody comes and buys, and they buy for more than 10 rand, 20 rand, you must give them a free lollipop. So every time we sold products in our shop, we used to give free lollipops. And it was summertime, so a lot of people used to buy soft drink, the big 1.5 liter or the 1 liter or 1.5 Coca-Cola. So every time when they buy that, we used to give them a free lollipop. And what happens, in the household communities in the location, the people who go and buy to the shops are kids. Every time when you want to buy something, meat or whatever, you always send your kids. It's seldom that you as parents, you go yourself to buy. So when the kids came to buy, they send them to buy Coca-Cola, I gave them a lollipop. So the kids started telling each other. So what will happen is sometimes one of the kids will be sent to go and buy 2 bottles of 1.5. And the friend will say, give me the other money so that we go and buy 2 1.5s. So when they come, this kid will give me money for the 1.5, we give him a lollipop. This one will give me 1.5, we give me a lollipop. So they got themselves 2 lollipops. So the word of mouth started going around that kids, when they were sent from other places to buy shop, they used to leave all the shops to come to my shop to buy because I used to give them lollipop. I even improved the incentive. I started giving them packets of chips for free, depending on how much they've bought. This helped to make my shop to be targeted, and kids came and a lot of people started buying from my shop, and I started making more money. So that is how I started my Spaza shop, and that is how I grew my Spaza shop. As a foreigner, I had to think outside the box. I had to beat my competition. I didn't had the opportunity like other foreigners who had friends that they could team up together. But on my own, that's how I did my marketing. When I started going to buy my groceries, I saw that the Muslim guy, he started loving me. He started giving me stock on credit, or I can say on consignment, and I'm starting to do well. So this is the secret that most of the foreigners use when they are doing business in your country. Thank you. Oh, I forgot one thing. I forgot to talk about time. Foreigners understand that time is money. So every minute to them is very important. So they don't have time to waste. They don't have time to go to say, this is Friday, we need to go to sit in the pub and drink and enjoy. They don't have time to say, oh, let's have a braai and then play music and all that stuff. So they are always working. They make sure that their shop must be open every day. Sometimes they even will open the shop up to very late because they know that time is money. Thank you very much.